All right, what's up, psychedelic gypsies? I'm here with my favorite chiquita on the planet, Jenn Dancer. She's a 2 times CrossFit Games competitor. She owns Q-Town CrossFit in Quincy, Illinois, and she just launched or is growing her non-for-profit Dancer Love Foundation. And I wanted to talk to Jenn because she has now entered into her non-competing phase of life. But she's such a badass, such a go-getter. She was a professional soccer player for a really long time. And so I love hanging out with Jenn because she is just this walking, how do I say it? Like, you've got everything going on and you're very open to all these new experiences and you just live totally present and totally fully. Maybe not present all the time, but you're just a wild one, and I love it.
We're working on it.
Yeah, me too. It's a constant journey. But I just wanted to ask you, first off, where are you in your life right now?
Right now, I am in Quincy, Illinois. And I am running our gym back here in Quincy, and emotionally where I'm at right now is all over the place. But we're working on figuring out what all those emotions mean and where I can spend my energy and kind of receive my energy. And I'm just learning a lot about that. But right now I'm in almost like a transitional type phase in my life, but it's not a new transition for me. It's something I've been here before. I know what to do, and I'm in a better state of mind to be able to kind of transition into what I want my life to be.
Absolutely. It's really interesting how life is like this like upward spiral. You come back to the same situations again and again. Yes. But then you're like, okay, now I'm like a little bit wiser. I dealt with some stuff. Now I know how to approach it.
Yeah, which makes life a little bit less scary, I think. But you also, it's kind of like I get a little apprehensive too because I know how hard the journey is just by doing this again. But this time around, I have a better relationship because I've been married longer with Sam. So that's, a little bit easier for my transition because of that relationship. And then I feel like emotionally, I'm a little bit more in touch with who I am and what I want to be. And I'm 35 instead of, the last transition was 29. And I'm more excited too about my journey going forward, which before I didn't even know really what my journey was. So like the transition is a little bit easier this time. But still, it's always a transition, so it's scary and it's challenging, and there's a lot going on, So
totally.
This sounds really crazy, but I'm just gonna say it now. It's on my mind and my heart. But like, Abbott, I don't think I know your journey of doing a lot that you did in San Diego, and then after San Diego, it's crazy because I think you were supposed to be in that journey because I might get a little teary-eyed because. It's weird because I didn't realize how awesome and how much I needed you in my life at that time. And it's hard. I've never said it to you because you've obviously been in your journey. And I don't think at the time you probably would ever really hear it. But I needed you to go through what you did. Because at the time I was going through a lot too, and it saved my life, even though I didn't realize it until right now.
Oh my God. I did not expect
this podcast turned into me crying. I didn't expect it. Again, though, I'm learning about my emotions, and I bet you're the best person to really get my emotions out. And you, for some reason, have such this strong vibe. I just have this strong vibe with you because you always get what I need out of myself. Like, you are so positive and you're just so true of feelings and emotions and feeling those and being a woman and being okay with that. And it always brings it out of me. Every time I see you, I cry, or I feel like I have this new energy in my soul, or I don't know, girl, you got something going on, and I love you, and I love that we have this friendship, and I'm sorry that you had to go through your journey, but you being in my life in San Diego was a huge step for me. And I'm so blessed to have been able to have that experience with you.
Oh, Jenn, you're so sweet. And honestly, meeting you down in San Diego, like you were such a rock for me, and I don't think I even realized it then. Just being able, and I just kept coming over to your place because you were just doing your thing. And what I love about you is that there's so much chaos going on and there's so much in your life, but you just still show up every day. And sometimes I don't want to show up. I'm just like, oh my God, tell me what to do, you know?
I never want to show up.
But it's
Yeah.
really cool. So yeah, we connected on such a different level, and it's really cool because now I know I have this like sister who's like, you're 5 years older than me, and you've been through a lot of shit, and you have this wisdom. So it's so cool. It's so cool that we're on this journey together.
Yeah.
And I did.
Yeah, so sorry. I don't know if that ruined the flow of how we're starting this podcast, but I just had to say it.
No, I love it. You were just totally authentic, and yeah, the tears cometh forth. So it's okay.
Yeah.
Great. And I was gonna ask, like, talking about emotions, how are you dealing with, because I know for myself, like, working out was a great way to like end a stress response cycle. So now that you're not like, you broke your foot and you're basically forced to not work out. How has that been? Like, how have you been addressing your emotions and things that have been coming up?
Well, I've had a lot of different emotions, and they're kind of like emotions that I've already knew that were like in the back of my head, but I think I just needed to find that excuse to finally really pay attention to what that emotion was. So I've always done CrossFit for the last 5 years because, one, I needed something to transition to from being a professional soccer player. I needed that community. I needed that outlet. I'm a competitor at heart, but I also know that my body's tired. Mentally, I knew that like every single year was just harder and harder for me to kind of like to get motivated or to be happy with it, but I kept doing it because I didn't really know what was next. It's a talent that I feel that, God has given me, and I didn't want to just ignore it. And I also believe that like so many people would be dying to be in the positions that we, were in, being a regional athlete and going to the games. And I just felt like since I had the talent, like why not continue to just keep doing it every year? But like in the back of my head, I was just like, this isn't really that much fun. I feel like it's just so much harder and harder every day to show up. But I kept performing, and I kept getting those numbers out. So I just kept doing it. And it wasn't until this year in January after Wadapalooza where my body, like my mind finally couldn't override what my body was telling me, and what that like small, voice in my head saying like, you should be done, but you just don't know what to do. And finally, like, I just had a situation health-wise where it just was like, all right, it's time to be done. And it made me sad. So I had a lot of mixed emotions. Like I was so sad and jealous of people because they were, still performing. They still had the bodies that like I still wanted to have. But at the same time, I was like, so relieved and happy that like I had an excuse where like I didn't really have to like go into the gym for 2 to 5 hours, like I didn't have to do it because I physically couldn't do it. So like my main focus was just going to the gym and moving to just make myself feel better. And like when I had that, I was like, oh, it feels so good just to come in, work out, be with friends. And that was like my favorite part. And it still is my favorite part. I still am so happy that I have excuses where like I don't have to compete, or I have the excuse of not competing. So I'm still dealing with that emotion on how to just accept it instead of having the excuses to accept it for me. But I'm still in that like confusion stage of my mind accepting it, but I'm relieved at the same time and happy that I don't have to be at the games right now training and eating perfectly. But I do miss my competitiveness, and I do miss that like that reason of feeling healthy and feeling good, like nutrition wise, but my body feeling crappy. I don't know if that makes sense. Like I have so many things that I need to work out, and nutrition is one of them. If I'm not competing every day, I kind of relax a little bit too much on that when I need to stay strict so my body feels good. But my body feels great because I'm not putting all that like time into the gym and, you know, all that weight on my body and all that kind of stuff. So I'm still dealing through a lot of those small emotions, but overall I'm relieved that I have these excuses this year to not have to compete.
Absolutely. And I felt the same way. I remember I was in Dubai at a competition and they just had announced like the final workout before the final workout. And it was like maybe like 16 workouts in a fucking weekend. And I remember them announcing it and I was like, I think I might just go to my bedroom. Like I might go hide in my hotel room because I don't want to fucking do this right now.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because, you know, and that's what I knew. I was like, that's what I knew. But it's funny because we built, so many of us build up these structures and we're so good at it, but it's draining.
Yeah.
So
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting.
And what's crazy, but what's crazy is that not only is it exhausting, but it literally, I have been a professional athlete my entire life. So it has numbed me to actually feeling emotion or feeling like what my body's really feeling, because as athletes, like we have to grind through any moment. You're sick. It doesn't really matter. You get up and you go work out. You know, you're tired, but that doesn't matter, because what if you're tired in a competition? Like you need to feel how it feels to be tired and overcome that. So there's just so many things that like I blocked out emotionally in my entire life because I have been a competitor only, you know. I was never a wife really necessarily before until, you know, CrossFit career. And I never was a wife. I never had to depend on anybody else. It was always my own thought process. It was always my own, you know, drive. And to be able to create that, like you have to probably sacrifice some other emotions to be able to keep yourself motivated and going every day. And now that I've had this year of like this craziness, that is so the opposite of what I've ever should have thought. But then again, I feel like if I didn't have that, I don't know if I would have been a professional athlete. So I don't regret any of it, but I definitely wish I have tapped into knowing how to turn that competitiveness on and then turn it off when you're at home. And that's something that I'm learning now, which is like saving my life. But it's a hard process and it's a hard journey. And it sounds like, oh, Jen, your life was so hard. You just have to learn, you know, learn how to be a competitor and then, you know, turn it off at nighttime. And I get that. But as a competitor, whoever is a competitor knows that like that's the hardest part, I think, in our journey is being true to who we are and having balance, but being a badass athlete and competitor and being the best. Right. And it's a very fine line. And if you don't have someone like you, Emily, or my husband, Sam, in my life, I don't think I would have ever have learned how to separate those two. And God knows what kind of person I would have been if I never tapped into an emotion, you know. I would always have kept that guard up and just mentally be so not present. Like you just talked about, like maybe I'm learning how to be present in my life, and maybe I've never been the most present person, but that's something that I find very, very, very important now. And that's what I'm learning at this moment. And before this podcast, like I sat down for 20 minutes with a coffee and didn't have anything else going on. So I could like know that I'm focused for this podcast and not thinking about the 1,000 things that I need to be doing on my list.
Oh, absolutely. And it's like, yeah, you touch on so many good points, but I really think that to be a hard hitter in this world and to be hard charging, we have been taught that the only way to do that is to be very much in our masculine essence all the time, right?
All the time.
Like logical on top of it. Emotions don't have any room. Like I remember when I would get my period during like training, I would lose it. I would be like at home like crying and like I'd be like, what's going on with me? Like there's something wrong. I'd be like Google searching and then you know, and like I knew it was my period, but it was just like I had no idea how to just sit with emotions.
Yes, and deal with it and understand what is it and why is your body going through it. There's obviously, this is a sign of, hey, pay attention to me, or hey, nurture your body. And we did the opposites. We would kill our body, go home and cry outside the gym because we don't want anyone to see us crying, but we're disasters. And people are like, oh, I want your life. And I'm like, it's an emotional roller coaster more than a normal person's life, because we don't know how to deal with the normal feelings that women feel all the time.
Oh,
And
that
this
makes me feel
sounds,
so much better.
yeah, and this sounds so crazy, but you touched a point before saying that, like in CrossFit and in any type of fitness, that's how we release our energy. That's how we release our stress. That's how we release so much emotions that we build up. And I never realized how much emotion I built up and how much I've released out of fitness until I'm not fitnessing 5 hours a day.
Yeah.
And I've never realized how important a hug was. Like, it never made sense to me, like, why people needed a hug or why people felt like they wanted to, like, hug all the time. I'm like, I don't get it. And a guy who works for me, his name is Travis, he hugs every single client that comes in, and he hugs them when they leave. And he says that we need hugs to be able to feel that emotion and that endorphins to be released and to make you happy. Never got it until I stopped working out like a mat person, and I'm only working out 45 minutes, maybe an hour. Maybe I just skip the day and I don't do anything at all, depending on my life right now. But I've never felt so much love and release of like stress and feelings, and when I hug somebody. So I'm hugging so many people selfishly because I'm like, oh, this feels so good. Like, I didn't work out today, so I need 10 hugs today.
Yeah.
And it sounds so stupid. And I never got that emotional side of people like, I can't wait to hug you, or I need a hug. And I'm like, cool, I'll hug you because I love hugging and I want to show you that I care about you. But I never understood like the power of that feeling and the release of emotion or stress that it gives you until I stopped working out. And now I'm like, hug me. I need a hug. I'm so needy now.
No, it's good.
Yeah, I'm by myself. I'm good alone. Like, I'm fine. I can take care of myself. And now I'm like, come hang out with me and be with me.
Yeah, like you realize how important human connection is. And
Yeah.
I didn't realize like how hardened I had become just from numbing myself out whenever. And I don't think like inherently being at like an athlete or professional athlete, whatever you want to call it, is bad. I think that we as women have just been approaching it in
The
one
wrong way.
And like there's an alternative way of like feminine leadership. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm so obsessed with right now and exploring. And how can we create structures for like the generation behind us so that they know it's not all about just gas pedal to floor all the time, right?
Yes.
It's about like and realizing that chilling out and receiving and hugging and being lazy or being emotional isn't weak. It's not a failure. And sometimes it still feels like a failure. And
And
so
sometimes like I don't even really ever thought about it being a weakness. It just was never a practice in my, I always wanted to be the strong woman. And I just, like you said, we only approached it as one way. There's so many ways to be a strong woman. And I'm starting to like notice like through my social media that sometimes being a strong woman is being that strong person within the athletic world, but also like sharing things that go on in my life, like being able to tell people about my emotional issues, tell people about like how I'm learning to be more emotionally intellectual or having an intellectual emotion. What am I trying to say?
Intelligent. Yeah.
Intelligent. That's the word I'm looking for. And be okay with that and to express that and share my journey with it. And the responses I'm getting is just, it's unreal.
Yeah.
And that's another way to be a strong woman, is just to be upfront about how hard it is to be a woman and how hard it is to manage 10 emotions, maybe in one sitting. So I've learned a lot. And honestly, I've learned that all from you and from my husband. Like, for you to like, I remember in San Diego, I would be sitting there and you would come over sometimes, just feel my energy of, Jenn, like, what's going on in your life? Like, let's just sit here and be, and sometimes you talked about doing like a moon dance around a fire, and I'm like, and just let go and be free. And I do that now in the airports. Like, I just like, if a song comes on, I just dance freely. And because that's what I need to do at that moment to be happy. And who cares what people think? And I've never cared what people thought, but I never knew how to express the emotion in a way that I didn't care how people thought about it.
Absolutely. And I think that's like your inner maiden, right? Like that's definitely an archetype of like womanhood, it's coming out, and it's like, it's so beautiful and so natural. And I remember you in San Diego, and like, honestly, I'm on this journey too, so I'm not like, I don't know much, but I just remember you in San Diego, and this, like, you were wide-eyed, like stressed a lot.
Yes.
And I remember that, and I just wanted to be like, it's okay, like everything's okay. Even though like behind closed doors, like I was wide-eyed stressed a lot. And my like beating myself into the ground was actually transferring into my relationships behind closed doors, right? Because all of a sudden relationship became a distraction. And then when it was not good, then I'm sure you're the same. I was like intensely trying to fix it. Like, wait, we're going to fix this right now. Like,
aggressively, like going to my husband and being like, we need to talk. We need to do something. And I will like yell, I can scream, I'll slam doors, you know, like I'm really good at that. And he is like, I need to think for 2 days and get my emotions together. And you are just too aggressive at the moment. And I don't know how to deal with it. But like 2 days later, I would be like, I forget what we're fighting about. You know, and like frustrated me. And so like, and exactly like it played over into my relationship with Sam, and Sam being such a hippie, free spirit, calm guy in general, like it almost was making him become a little bit more callous as a person, which I never wanted to have that example on him, because I don't want people to be calloused at all. I do think that like finding a balance of getting some work done and dealing with some situations is okay. But I also now understand the emotional side of thinking and having those discussions and maybe relaxing before the discussion. And like, you're right, it just plays so much into your relationship. And I didn't realize how much I was influencing my husband and making him like, we laugh because he's like, Jenny, you made me a man. And I'm so glad that like, I find that as a positive, but I also don't want it to be a negative where like, now he's kind of like more of a hard, calloused man that can't show his emotional side, because he was the emotional person in our relationship. He cried. He cried when he would leave on seminars, that he would miss me. And I never understood that because I missed him, but I didn't realize like, you know, like he just had that connection that I never had. I was just like closed off to feelings, even though I knew I loved him. But now when he leaves, I cry. I need him. I want him. And I never had that feeling so bad before until this year, because now I understand the emotion of it. So I'm glad that I made him a man. But I was sad at the same time. And that's when I realized like, holy crap, I need to change myself and my heart and the way I'm feeling and being present, because I'm turning my husband into a man, but like I'm also callousing him of his emotions. And that's why I fell in love with him, is because he was an emotional guy that, you know, I needed him because I wasn't. And so like, I don't want to ever like callous that. And so that was the big problem. And like, that's when I stepped away and was like, whoa, I really need to kind of have this like this journey of exploring my emotions and what does that mean. And oh my gosh, our relationship I've been a disaster this year with my body and my mind, and being insecure now about my body because it's not as fit as it used to be. But I have never been so happy and so close to Sam than I've ever before. So like, it's been awesome.
That's so great, Jenny.
Yeah.
It's really hard to, what I find about this whole journey that's like the hardest is how uncomfortable it actually is. Like physical pain, no problem. Like getting into that pain cave and like pushing my body, no problem.
Great.
But yeah, great, can do that. But sitting with my uncomfortable emotions, like when I'm like pissed off, like anger comes up from nowhere.
Yeah.
Just being able to like sit with it and not try to fix or manage. That to me is like the most uncomfortable part of this whole journey.
Yeah.
And sure, I do think I'm crazy.
Yeah. And I can deal with kind of the crying part. Like, you know, okay, I need to cry. Cool, Jen, let's look in the mirror, tell yourself, let's cry. You know, I'm getting good with that. But like you said, like the anger, sometimes that like builds up. I usually go fitness. I go run. I ignore it. And having to sit with anger and not do like a quick text message to get it all out, well, then it like blows up another situation, which you don't ever want. I've learned that from experience.
Yeah.
That is so hard for me. Like, what do I do with this anger if I can't go ignore it and run, work out, or punch somebody? Like, what do I do?
What do you do? I know, I'm on that exact same journey. And how do I how can I self-soothe and emotionally regulate myself? And
Yes.
so I think,
I'm writing that down. Self-soothe and self-regulate.
yeah, emotionally regulate. Yeah. Like, how do you do that? And that is really, I think, part of this whole journey is figuring out how not to get so worked up. Like, how can we go into a state of calm? Or I've always wanted to explore like a rage ritual every month. Like, I would love to be able to get like some women together and just like, you just know that you can channel that rage for that moment.
Yeah.
Be witness
Hey,
to other people.
this is the time to ask right now, our audience who's listening, like, give Emily feedback on this podcast. Like, who wants to do like regular like rage rituals? I'm sure we can make that like a semester type thing where, you know, every spring, fall, winter, whatever, we have rage rituals where we just like get to just like I screamed at the top of my lungs in Nevada when I was coming home from San Diego. And I've never done it before, but I remember you saying like, just scream and just see like what it does for you. And it felt so amazing. Like, it was like, I was so uncomfortable. I was like, at first. But then like, I, you know, channeled my inner Emily and just like went at it. And it just felt so good. And I think a lot of women, even men, can like use that just to get out of their comfort zone and know that it's okay to like bond with other women and get it out, you know? Because I was really uncomfortable with not only talking about my emotions, but like crying or anything with another woman. Like, I just felt so uncomfortable doing that. And I remember doing that with you a lot and being like, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know why these emotions are coming out. And I was so uncomfortable. But I think that like that would make people more comfortable with their problems or their emotions, you know?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. We keep this emotional lid on so much of our life because, well, it's not appropriate, you know, to cry in the supermarket and like have a tantrum, right?
Emily, I know I keep like telling you stories over and over again, but that's what happened to me when I got to Quincy, Illinois. I got to Quincy, I saw a member, and I literally was so happy that I was coming home, but I remember having so much emotions about like coming home, and not in a negative way, but I just had so much build up emotions about it that I literally was crying in the supermarket. I was so uncomfortable because probably anyone in Quincy has probably never seen me cry. And my member that I was talking to, she's like, I can't tell if you're excited to be home or like you're really sad. And I'm like, I'm so excited. But like, they've never seen me cry like that before. So she was even uncomfortable. Like, oh, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm on a new journey of emotions. And I'm in the supermarket and people are staring at me. And I was so uncomfortable. But it felt so good at the same time, you know? To show somebody how excited I was to be home, even though I was still confused in my mind if I was excited, but I knew I was. I just didn't know what I was excited about.
Yes. And I love how you say, you're like, I'm on this new journey of emotion. This is what
I tell everybody that. And then my sister-in-law was like, she saw us in the supermarket and she was in a hurry, so she didn't have time. But she's like, Jenny, I love you. And I was like, I love you too. She's like, I'm glad to see you figuring out your emotional journey, because she knows that I'm on this emotional journey and I'm crying in a supermarket. And she yells it across the supermarket and people are staring. And I'm like, welcome to my new life. Everybody, this is my new life.
Emotional journey right here. That's good. I think I'm going to start telling people that, like, when I start crying.
I do. I tell people when I cry, I'm like, I'm on an emotional journey. I don't know why I'm crying and I'm sorry and I'm uncomfortable, but this is it. I tell people that.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's okay. But like, it's so normal for some people.
Yeah. Some people are really good at just like holding space for it, and other people are like, ooh.
Yeah, holding space. That's a whole nother podcast we can talk about.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, and I do think people witnessing, and for you to be like brazenly vulnerable and like telling people like, yeah, I was really numb for a lot of years. Like, I never knew how to deal with my shit. And telling people that is very powerful because it either allows them or gives them permission to be who they are, or to explore further. And I was at this holotropic breathwork seminar, and you do this breathing stuff, and then after, I raged, and I didn't even know that was going to come up. And 14 people were in the room just like witnessing me rage. And it was like, I was like swearing, I was like screaming, and but it was very powerful because it was just like, but after I was super embarrassed. I was like, oh, they probably think I'm like a psychopath, which I probably am.
Yeah,
But
but that's who you are, and you're getting it out.
I'm getting it out, and it's like, and I talked to the woman who was running it. I was like, I'm really scared because I have no idea where that came from. She's like, it could be anything. She's like, it could be collective rage. It could be just primal rage, like, you know, you trying to kill a lion, you know, in your past life or something.
But you were breathing and calming your body so much to be able to feel. And I think like those feelings just maybe were so hidden down, deep down, that they just came out. And I've had 4 experiences of that. One was with my husband on the beach in San Diego. We were, you know, on my emotional journey, and we had this like day planned of, all right, let's teach Jenny a little bit about emotion and being present and being in touch with herself. And when we did that, and I laughed hysterically, I just sat down in the middle of the ocean, like not even the middle of the ocean, like, you know, where the waves kind of like break on you. I was like sitting there, and I was just sitting there laughing hysterically because I felt something was in me that I felt so much joy that I haven't felt in years. Yeah. And I remember that. And then the next one was, I was laughing with Matt Bickle after our ayahuasca stuff. I was still a little, you know, high and drunk. I don't know what you would call it, but we were still on the ayahuasca stuff. And I remember just like laughing with him about him peeing his pants while we walked back to our cabin. And it was just like your inner child. When people say your inner child, like that never makes sense to me because I don't remember my childhood. It was amazing. And I remember I was so happy, but like, I really, truly don't remember my soul ever until this year is the first time that I've been so connected to my soul. So like, I remember the inner child, like, meaning, but I don't know what that feels like. And then another time was when we were in Chicala on our seminar that you invited us to, and being in the waves and like overcoming something that like I've been so scared of doing.
Boogie boarding.
Like, that freedom and that laughter and I had so many funny facial expressions. I can't remember having so many facial expressions before in my life. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like all these experiences I've been having have just been awesome. And I keep remembering those moments, which you have been a part of a few of those. And I just remember just that feeling, and I want to keep chasing that feeling, that emotion, and that soul freeing love that I feel. Yeah. Because I've always been a very angered person, like very angry, even though like on the outside it never showed it because I dealt with it so well on the inside. And it just, oh my gosh, it's so great to feel. And so I don't know why I told that story, but because I can't remember why I was telling this, but it was just so amazing. And so I keep chasing those feelings because I know they're in there. And now that I have like memories of feeling that way, I just need to keep searching.
Yeah, keep diving. And they call this is totally, you're so cool because you're on this like path of becoming like this, you're harmonizing both sides of yourself. And it's so fucking cool because we're diving deep and in, and it's hard, it's uncomfortable, but I was the same way. Like I'm really angry on the inside, but on the outside I was like, oh yeah, it's all good. But like I actually hold a lot of anger, and it always comes up in all of my relationships. So yeah, I think it's a really cool journey you're on, and it's inspiring. And I know you got to go coach and whatnot. So
no, I have so much time.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I have so much time.
Woo! Okay, so tell me about your van tour. What's this all about?
So this van tour, I think it is going to be like a really huge hit. One of my new things that I've been wanting to do, not only for my business with Q-Town, but also in Sam's and I's lives, now that we're kind of like slowing down a little bit of like our CrossFit stuff, even though Sam will still keep competing. He loves it. We want to connect with community. I just feel like through CrossFit training and sometimes life, like we're so focused on how can we better ourselves. And sometimes I remember when I was in soccer, being a professional soccer player, what I loved about soccer was I got to be with the community. I had a team. I got to like see my fans come every single day to the stadium, and I got to talk with them and be a part of them and videotape stuff with them. And CrossFit, you know, you're so protected the entire time that you have fans, but like you're so protected at the games or regionals and you're so exhausted too. You don't want to like, you know, you can't give that energy because you got to keep it for yourself. And I miss giving that energy to people. Like I miss having the energy for one, and now I have the energy because I stopped CrossFit, but like I miss giving my energy and my love to people. So this band tour is just all about connecting with not only our fans, our friends, our family along the way, but also with our sponsors too. Like they've given us so much over the years. And I just feel like we want to be able to invest in them and invest in our community around us. So this van tour, we're going from the Madison, Wisconsin to Burning Man in Nevada. And I feel like it sums up both of our lives and our careers and our journey from being CrossFit athletes, but ending with love and power and people that are like-minded, and being able to share your emotions and your journey with people that are okay with, you know, expressing those feelings. And so it's just like, I feel like it's just combining both of our lives in perfect harmony. And along the way, we get to see fans and people and get to love on them and do competitions and drop into gyms and get to show the back end of sponsors that have been with us for many years and get to show like what their company truly is about and why we love them so much and why we purchased everything up front before we even became sponsors with them. You know, we get to show their personalities as a brand instead of just as, oh, Sam and Jen gets free stuff. You know, that's why they promote it. And that's not it at all. So we just get to put our entire life in 30 days and give people a show. And I think that's really going to be cool and scary, and I hope it turns out well.
Oh, it's
I hope we're cool enough to make this cool, but we'll see.
It sounds absolutely epic, dude. And to finish that off at Burning Man, like, oh my God, it's just going to be mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool. So some stuff at Burning Man won't all be on the film because, like, you know, fun outfits and stuff could, I don't know, maybe it is going to, like, I don't mind making people uncomfortable. So maybe, you know, we will show all of the experience at that, you know, time, but it's just going to be really fun. And so I hope people enjoy it because we're going to come to Canada on one of our tours. If this becomes a thing, we want to go up to the north and then go through Canada. And then we want to go to over to the south and go to Mexico. And then we also want to go do the East Coast, and maybe we'll do one more southeast or something, but then we'll go somewhere. So we want to make this like a thing that we do a couple times a year and just get to invest our time, money, and love to people.
So cool, Jenny. What an amazing journey that's going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun. So hopefully it turns out. Hopefully people are excited enough to see what we're like, you know, outside of CrossFit. And we'll have some, like, you know, marriage stuff on there because we're going to be living in a van together for a long time. So we'll be as real and authentic, hopefully, as possible for this video. I mean, we're filming everything. It just depends on how, you know, we put it together. So
yeah, absolutely. Really cool. And I was going to ask you just before we finish up here, so how are you approaching your fitness now? And what are you doing, I guess, just to tap into your body more and to go by your spirit and what you're feeling and
right now it's kind of tough just because I'm working 10 to 12 hours a day. So right now I'm just kind of trying to get in any type of fitness I can. Tino with Invictus is still programming at the moment for me because he just knows my injuries because I have some modifications with my knees and my foot, and I had a lot of modifications with my gut. But now that those things are all healing, I'm just trying to get through the van tour. But in September is what I kind of want to do for my body and for fitness, is just have an hour a day, but like be able to have fun with it, you know? So like if I'm on a specific program, which I'm really excited though to add like in September to start hopefully doing some gypsy fitness, because then it's just so it's just so free spirited, and it kind of has a flow to it where you can make it fun. You can take it outside. You can take it anywhere you go. And that's kind of like what I'm looking for, is more of just having a good time, not having to be, oh, I have to go to the gym for an hour. It could be, oh, I'm going to go to the park for an hour and just flow for a little bit. You know, I just want my fitness to be something where I feel good every day, and I'm having fun with it. That if like on a Thursday, my friends say, hey, I want you to jump in with me, I don't have to have like a specific, you know, program or day or whatever, where I can just jump in with friends and have a good time. But if I have 12-hour work day and I'm stressed and I'm tired, maybe instead of, you know, going to the gym, I could take a nap for an hour. And I'm just going to kind of listen to my body for the next, you know, couple of months or so, and just kind of have fun with it. And just really hone in on some nutrition stuff too, where I can have that free flowing style of fitness. So yeah, I'm really excited for, and maybe in the van tour, we can do some gypsy fitness along the way, because
that'd be awesome.
What more fitness is that in a van, you know? It's like perfect.
Yeah.
So it would be really fun to do a lot of that as well. So I'm just trying to find like a flow. In all honesty, I'm trying to just get through August. And hopefully, since Sam will be back in Quincy in September, then we can find some really good, consistent routines and balances and stuff. So.
Okay, and your plan is then to come back to Illinois in September?
Yeah, so in Illinois, we'll be back in Illinois in September. We're moving our gym to a new location at the end of December. And so that's going to get us more into the community, because we're moving downtown and also by the river. So we'll have just some more downtown, getting into the community vibes with some people in our community. So that's our goal. Our goal is just to put some love into Quincy, Illinois for a little bit.
That's super cool. That's super rad, Jen. Now, I have one more question. How you did talk about like, your body is changing, because you're not going to be training 5 hours a day. You're not going to be eating perfect macros, all these things. How are you dealing with that?
So it's weird. I'm still very confident in my body and myself in my life. Like I've always been kind of that person where sometimes my ego can get a little bit too high. But that's kind of the problem right now too, is that I look better now than I probably have ever looked in my life. But for some reason, because of like that chemical imbalance in our brain saying that like, oh, if you're not working out this many hours a day or eating like this, like you don't look good. And it's all mental. It's not even like, I still weigh the same weight that I did when I was working out 5 hours a day. And it's just that mental process of knowing that your routines are different. So I just need to find confidence in that, and the new body and the new routines. And I keep thinking too, like, all right, Sam has to remind me 24/7. He's like, Jenn, this isn't some more news, everybody. We are trying to have a baby. And so I have to take care of my body. I need more fat in my diet, and I need less stress, and I need less fitness. And, you know, and I want to keep fitness, but I need to like just prepare my body for something that could be more powerful than myself and fitness. And it's hard because I'm not 100% sure I'm ready for a kid, but I don't think you are ever ready. No. So like, that's like kind of a hard journey of like, is it worth it? Because I would rather have a 6-pack and feel happy. But honestly, if you look back at my last year, it's not like I'm happier now than I ever was. So like, image does not make you happy. It does help things make it more positive, but like it doesn't make you happy. So I'm just learning that like I need to be comfortable with the new body that I'm in. And I know like Lindy Barber and Michelle, I always say her name wrong, but Fugamali, she was a games athlete last year that got injured. They're both going through, you know, the same journey as what does our bodies look like now versus what they did when you're, you know, training. And yeah, it's great to have a 6-pack, but people don't understand the effort that it took and the sacrifices it took during the games to have that body and to be fueled. Like that's not sustainable every day, because it's a job 24/7 and it's exhausting. And it's almost probably mentally unhealthy because you just care about what you look like and how your body feels 24/7. And so I know a lot of other girls that like I've been following on Instagram to help me through my own journey of body images. And Michelle Fugamali just put up a post about this was her body at the games last year, and this is her body now, and what her life is now as a mom, a business owner, you know, and just buying a house and being a parent and a wife. And I know my husband's tired of me complaining, like, oh, just when I walk now, my quads, you know, kind of jiggle instead of being tight. And I know that sounds so ridiculous, but I was working out the other day. I'm like, oh, my stomach and my quads jiggle way more now than they ever did. And when I'm ski erging or when I'm biking, and it's just crazy because it's all fake. Like, it's just in your mind. Yeah. Because then, like, I still have to remember, if I say this out loud, who is around me that's like, screw you. I would die to look like you, or I would die to, like, be in the shape that you say is out of shape, you know? So, like, you have to put things in perspective sometimes. And sometimes, and that's about being present. Like, look up, look around, like, think about other people around you and their thought processes and what they're going through. Like, stop being so selfish and insecure. And, you know, and even though, like, I feel confident, I still make myself take my shirt off, because I worked out all my years with my shirt off. But now I'm like, do I take it off today? Do I not? And I'm just like, my goal is every day I get in the gym, take your freaking shirt off. Yeah. Just be confident and comfortable in who you are today and not last year or 6 months ago, you know?
Absolutely. And I think, no, but it's funny because, yeah, like I'm really confident about my body, but the little thought police still comes in the back and is like, your ass has more dimples than it used to. And like your lower ab, like my little paunch is coming back.
Yeah.
And, but you know what? Now instead I'm like, before I would be really hard on myself, and now I'm learning how to be like, I love my little paunch, and like I love being able to like get up and be like, yeah, I'm just gonna go flow in the park today, or like do something weird, right? And it's so, yeah, I think what is dangerous sometimes about CrossFit, especially the CrossFit chicks, is we portray like, oh yeah, this is the peak of fitness and health.
Yeah.
It's really not. It's completely not sustainable. And the amount of effort and consistency you need to get there is not sustainable. Whereas the bodies we have now, this is sustainable. This is health. Mm-hmm. And this is
love the new you and sustain and be confident and comfortable with this, because this is what I'm going to look like.
Yes.
You know, and I have so many awesome older clients. We have a class called Living Fit, where it's a lot of like 50 plus individuals. And oh my gosh, they're like, just wait till you're 50 and 60. You're going to get things sagging and doing things. And they're like, you just have to go with the flow and love the new you. And I'm like, so right. They're like, it doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It's just like a new age. And as long as you're doing whatever it takes to make yourself feel happy, like, that's okay. Like, that's okay. Just be happy with that. I come in, they're like, we come in every morning and we work out, and that's what I'm doing. I'm still working out and I'm still eating good. And if this is my body by doing that, then cool. It's different if you're like treating your body like crap, you know, and you're not happy with the way your body is. Then there's some change. You can do something about it. But if you're doing everything that you know that's possibly good for you and you're happy, then love who you are in that moment.
Yeah. So. And I think that somebody once told me that, you know, your body's this changing piece of art, and there's scars in it. There's like sags, there's like skin ripples or whatever. And it's just like, that it is this beautiful ever-changing piece of art. And to think, to hold on to what it once was or what it should be is just such a disservice to living your life fully. And so it's just like, I totally get that. And what's crazy though is, since I stopped CrossFit, and not stopped it, but like just stopped training,
competing,
I feel the youngest I've ever felt.
Right?
Yeah.
I agree.
Like I feel like I'm just glowing, like my radiance is coming back, like all of that life force, that juice that was going into something else is now staying in my body. So
yeah, I agree. And I remember too, like, being a professional athlete, like in soccer, you only can work out so much. So I think that's what like always saved me, was even though like my body was being destroyed, but like my happiness and being able to have that balance and go and do, you know, videoing and vlogging with the community. Like, I still had the energy to put back into people. So I remember that time being really happy. Some reason with CrossFit, like, it just consumed so much more of my life of having to recover, because you worked out multiple times a day. Like, it sucked all my energy, where like I lost kind of like who I was and my happiness, because my happiness is connecting and being with others. But and for the last 5 years, I've had no energy to give to anybody. And I barely had enough to give to my husband. And I feel sorry for him sometimes, because knowing what we have this year with each other, we could have had so long, but like, I just didn't spend the time of knowing what that meant, of knowing who you are and your soul and your energy, and keeping that space and keeping your space and not letting other people steal that from you. And I just had such a hard time with that during my 5 years of CrossFit. And now that like I'm not working out multiple times a day, I'm getting the energy again and the love for people and to be around people again, you know? And so it's just crazy to see my 2 professional careers back, you know. Of course I was younger in soccer, but not that much younger. So it's just crazy to see the difference of like my mindset between my 2 professional careers, and how one works so well because I did find some space and some energy saved for people. And the other one, I had no energy for anyone else because I used it all for myself. And it was just so selfish. And so I'm glad that I've been through this journey of emotional, you know, intelligence. What was it again?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, emotional intelligence. I'm glad that like I'm learning a lot about that, because it's allowing me to save my energy again for other people. So that's been really cool about the differences between my 2 professional careers. And now I'm getting back to my professional career as, you know, a wife, and hopefully one day a mom, and being able to know what that balance is, so I can give the energy to my husband and my kids, to my members in the gym, and stuff like that. So
and back to yourself, right? Like, and
then back to ourselves, because you have to save that time for yourself. And I've realized that, but like I did it so selfishly before, in a way that wasn't for me, like in a positive way. It was for me just to survive my professional career, you know?
I totally
and that's not that self-reserve energy that you want to save. You want to save it for like self-healing and going through your emotions, and then saving some for other people as well, you know, because that's where I do get my energy, is giving my energy to others. And I've missed that, I feel like, the last 5 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was kind of the last thing I was going to ask you before we actually end this. Because I find like human connection is so important. Community is so important. And I think we're kind of coming full circle back to that, getting out of that very like much, it's all about me athlete world. And so, for example, like at Psychedelic Gypsy Fitness, every Wednesday we do something called Wild Women Wednesdays, and it's like intentional self-love day, like intentional divine feminine worship. So it's like not just me. Usually I just like sit in front of the TV on the couch and like eat a bunch of food, but now I'm like, okay, what can I do? Like, oh, I'm gonna go like sit and draw some flowers and like do all this like stuff that actually makes me feel really uncomfortable, but I'm like forcing myself to do it. So it's like, you know, not only that, how do you do that? And then also, how do you protect your energy? Because sometimes there's going to be those energy suckers in life that just they want your attention. And I feel you're so giving with that. How have you created that like mindful differentiation?
Gosh, I don't even know if I've really figured it out enough to like give you an exact answer of how I'm dealing with it. But my goal for this year is community. So like, and because it's a goal and it's something like I truly like am passionate about right now, I'm not finding that it's a lot of work to give my time to others. Right. But I'm also sometimes if I feel like people like because in a business, especially in CrossFit and owning a gym, your job is to give that energy to people 24/7, like when you're here at the business. So one way I've been kind of escaping is just going home. Maybe doing an hour work at home instead of an hour work at the business, you know, just changing that environment, maybe going to Starbucks, not really Starbucks, but like, you know, like a coffee shop or somewhere like that. Just where people aren't like asking you questions 24/7 at the business, you know? And so this way I can just change my environment a little bit of work and get outside or get to another location to kind of just like, okay, I'm not feeling overwhelmed here at the business like I usually am, because you just have that certain vibe at work, you know? Absolutely. And so right now I think that's the only way that I'm really balancing myself and giving myself some time, because I am working a lot and I feel like that's not necessarily the best thing for me, but it's what I have to do right now because Sam is gone and I know it's not going to last forever. So just changing that environment and just getting out of like maybe where that vibe is giving me the overwhelming, I'm at work kind of feel, go and do it at the house or go and do it at a coffee shop, and letting yourself know that like when you go here for an hour or two, if someone comes up to you, just let them know that you're working, and say hi and whatever, and just let them know that you're working, and give yourself that space. But right now I don't have the time to really leave or give myself 100% to myself. So just changing my environment has really helped a lot. Know that I'm not stressed out in a work environment.
Oh, that's a really good tip. I never thought about doing that.
Yeah, because like right now, like it's that work is my life right now,
Yeah,
and I can't escape it. So like you just have to create something different that just gives you a different feeling about the work. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's something that I felt like I couldn't do that before San Diego. That's one reason why we moved to San Diego, is I was so stressed out and I didn't know how to trust other people to do some work for me, because I was like, I can do it better than anybody here. And even if that's true or not true, that was my mindset. And so leaving San Diego and getting me out of my job just allowed me to trust my coaches more, and give them a little bit more responsibility, which I've seen them grow a ton because of that. But yeah, Sam took me away from this business because of this specific purpose. And I don't want to fall back into having those issues again. So I leave and I do work somewhere else. I leave and I just create that like environment for myself to make sure that I'm not getting too psycho, because I could work all day if Sam would let me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's
totally
I can't escape it because it needs to be done right now, because we're one man short with Sam gone. So I just change my environment and just make sure that like I'm not feeling the intense, overwhelming vibes that I do feel sometimes when I'm here in my office.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a really good tip, because sometimes life is just, you want it to be balanced, but it's just not. It's just going to be
just not
a clusterfuck. And that's something I have to learn, like, because I have to limit myself how much I work, but also the flip side of that is like when it gets too crazy, I'm like, can maybe stick my head in the sand a little bit. So it's nice to know that like you are able to like manage it now without completely going in one extreme or the other.
Yeah. And now too, I make sure that after like I'm done coaching my last class at 6:30 is the last class, so like 7:30, I shut off. Like I don't look at my emails anymore at nighttime. I turn everything basically off except for my phone. Like I don't look at social media all day. So I do enjoy looking at some social media at nighttime and just relaxing. But like I shut off. I don't do work. I don't do emails unless it's like something's urgent. Someone will text me then and be like, hey, I need you to look at your email or something. Other than that, it's my new rule. My computer usually stays here at the business and I just go home. And before I would take work home with me and work till 10:30 at night while I watched TV with Sam. I was never present with him because I was numbing myself with TV and then I was bringing my work home. So now I try to not take my computer home, and I do watch TV, but I make sure it's because I'm not numbing myself. Make sure it's because I really just want to watch this show. Like I make sure it's for a good reason for watching TV, but a good reason, and I'm not just ignoring my emotions and numbing myself like I used to.
That's awesome, Jenny. And your nonprofit?
So our non-for-profit we've done it for 5 years, but it's the first time actually doing a non-for-profit. It's called the Dancer Love Foundation, and our fundraiser is the Road Raiser. And basically we are raising money for intellectual and physical disabilities, so they can have like that outlet that we get in fitness. Like if my whole life was about getting a lot of stress and emotion out during fitness, I want to be able to provide a community where individuals who are less fortunate and have like some type of intellectual disability where they can't just pop into a gym and just get their stress out because they need one-on-one training and they need a lot more attention. I want to be able to create that space and that environment for them to be able to have a free way of coming into the gym and getting some of those emotions out that they have as well. And with James, we've just seen such a huge thing, not only being able for him to express himself through fitness and get that energy and those emotions out, but like it has just turned his entire life around with having friends, you know, that text him every day to get him through a day, or maybe they Marco Polo him or Instagram him, you know, like he has a purpose. He has people that are like following up with him and wanting to love him, and feeling that love is just feels so great, because before all of his friends were all other athletes that have, you know, intellectual disabilities. It's not like they can text back and forth all day, you know, but this way with joining the community, his speech has gotten so much better because he's interacting with adults every single day. He's not just interacting with his mom and dad and other intellectual disability, you know, athletes. He's actually getting to communicate every single day with the community that loves him. And the power and like, and not only for him though, but like we do it selfishly as well, because having these individuals in our gym or just in a gym will change people's heart and people's lives. And there's perspective of their crazy stressful life. Like just knowing that to love first with no judgment. Like that's what James always does. And he's taught us that. So we want others to know that too. So getting them into the space to help other people, but also help themselves to be able to get that emotion and stuff out is like that environment we're trying to create. So this way we have a foundation where we raise money and people can apply for grants and for scholarships all over the United States. It doesn't have just to be in Quincy, Illinois, to be able to have that funding to be able to then get into a gym or some type of social environment.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's really beautiful, Jen. And then where can people find you on your van tour?
Oh, so van tour, just stay tuned to the @Jenn Dancing and Sam Dancing's Instagram. And then sometime in September, our editor will have everything figured out, and we will announce the YouTube channels and all that for people to go and watch our 10 to 12 series that we're coming out with. So we'll have about 10 to 12 episodes for people to watch.
Very exciting. So exciting. You're living the dream, girl. I love it.
We are living the dream. It's great. Stressful and time consuming, but it's so worth it. Yeah. So hopefully everyone else enjoys it as much as we do.
Absolutely. All right, Psychedelic Gypsies, that's it for today. Jen, thank you so much for coming on. You're so amazing.
Oh, thanks, Sam. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah. All right. And have a wonderful rest of your day.
Okay. Love you.
Love you. Bye.